Unelected, black robe, tyrannical, imperious judges are completely out of control, and nothing will stop until exactly this happens. Until they are subject to arrest, they are arraigned in a federal court, they are prosecuted, they are convicted, and they are put in orange clothes in a cage for 5 years. Then we'll begin to see some behavioral adjustment. Did you know that in all 50 states, self-defense law, not gun law, but self-defense law, uses a simple 5-element test to see if your use of defensive force was legally justified? And that same test applies no matter what state you're in or what tool you use to defend yourself. If you're missing even one of those required elements, however, you've made yourself an easy conviction for an aggressive prosecutor. My name is Attorney Andrew Branca, and I've worked more than 30 years as a self-defense attorney. Every state has seemingly endless, complex pages of laws regarding self-defense, so complex that many top criminal defense attorneys rely on my expert analysis to help win self-defense cases for their clients. If the legal code is that complex for lawyers, how can a citizen gun owner expect to know or even follow the law, especially when a life or death situation has triggered a massive adrenaline-fueled mandate to make that fight or flight decision right now? It seems daunting. Yet I created a simple but powerful framework that has allowed me to serve the legal community and countless American gun owners to simplify this legal complexity into just 5 elements of self-defense law. And you can learn my 5-element legal algorithm I use to consult on and win with the top criminal defense attorneys all over the country to protect law-abiding gun-owning citizens from making innocent legal missteps that land them in prison. Now, with a simple read or listen, you can install my 5-point legal framework so it acts as a sort of muscle memory defense to protect you from losing your rights when you choose to defend innocent human life. Click below to get the latest edition of my book, The Law of Self-Defense Principles, for free. I ask only that you help cover the shipping and handling cost to get the book to you. Here's an example of a letter that was sent out by Democrat governor of Wisconsin, Tony Evers, advising his administration on how to obstruct immigration officers. Is he going to somehow pay for their legal defense when they're charged by the Department of Justice for federal obstruction? Because it is a crime, folks. It is a crime. Let's take a look at some of these judges. Here's one. Been in the headlines the last couple days because of conduct she actually committed a few days ago. Department of Justice has been investigating her, and now she's been subject to arrest. This is Judge Hannah Dugan. If you're not familiar with the story, she had a violent, illegal criminal migrant in her courtroom. She learned that ICE was waiting out in the corridor to arrest him, lawfully detain him for deportation. And she told this illegal criminal migrant to go out her chamber doors, the back door into the courtroom, to escape the ICE agents. And then she went out in the hallway to divert the attention of the ICE agents by screaming at them about how dare they come to her court to arrest illegal criminal migrants. The illegal criminal migrant almost got away. He got all the way to the sidewalk and was hoofing it down the street when the ICE agents managed to chase him down and secure his arrest. And now she's been arrested. Let's take a look at this video.
Judge, anything to say about this?
That's it. She doesn't have anything to say. By the way, if you haven't seen what she looks like, see if I have a picture of her here. Now, those are not my words. But anybody remember the original Mermaid, Little Mermaid, the cartoon, the Disney cartoon movie? Remember Ursula? If they were going to make a live action remake of The Little Mermaid and they needed someone to play Ursula, done and done. I've got her. I've got who you need. Oh my gosh. That's obviously a Photoshop. So now she's been charged with obstruction. Let's take a look at federal immigration law. Let's pull up an actual statute. Do a little nuts and bolts legal analysis here. Let me make this a little bigger so we can all see it. Oh, look at this. It's 8 USC 1324, harboring certain aliens. I wonder what it has to say. 1324, bringing in and harboring certain aliens, criminal penalties. Any person who, and I'm going to skip down to the relevant section here, knowing or in reckless disregard of the fact that an alien has come to the United States in violation of law, who conceals, harbors, or shields from detection, or attempts to conceal, harbor, or shield from detection such alien in any place, including any building. That means a courthouse, folks, or any means of transportation. Did that judge do this? Did she conceal, harbor, or shield from detection this illegal criminal migrant in her courtroom from the ICE agents she knew were out in the hallway to make his arrest? She absolutely did. What's the penalty? So that's subsection A3, the harboring subsection. Let's take a look at the penalty. A person who violates this, let's see, not that provision. This is the relevant provision. A person, in the case of a violation of subparagraph A3, they shall be fined under Title 18, imprisoned not more than 5 years or both. This is a 5-year federal felony. Good job, Judge. Does this judge think she's above federal law? She gets to make her own immigration law? Does a judge not know what it means to obstruct a law enforcement officer? These unelected, black-robed, tyrannical, imperious judges are completely out of control, and nothing will stop until exactly this happens, until they are subject to arrest, they are arraigned in a federal court, they are prosecuted, they are convicted, and they are put in orange clothes in a cage for 5 years. Then we'll begin to see some behavioral adjustment. Until then, not only does nothing happen, but because they're treated by their tribe as champions of the poor third world migrant, they're incentivized by their own tribe to commit these kinds of crimes. And they'll continue doing it and doing more until we stop them. Until we stop them. Of course, that's not the only judge. I can't even cover all of them. That's one who was arrested. Another Wisconsin judge, following this arrest, announced that she wasn't even going to open her courtroom. She was not going to do her job if she had to worry about ICE arresting illegal criminal migrants that were being processed through her courtroom. Now, is that obstruction? Probably not. Here's another judge. This one from New Mexico. This guy had an MS-13, or was it a TDA? TDA, Tren de Aragua, a designated terrorist under the Alien Enemies Act proclamation of our president, Trump, our elected Article 2 executive branch officer, who we chose to carry out our political will. This New Mexico judge had a Tren de Aragua member, face tattoos and all, living in his house. Living in his house. Here's the picture of the nice guy with the face tattoos and an AR and a pistol. You think you're allowed to be in lawful possession of a firearm in the United States if you're a member of a designated terrorist organization, unlawfully in the U.S.? What's he training for? Look at the metal targets back there. What do you think he's training for? The peaceful use of a firearm and lawful self-defense? Maybe not. Here's his arrest record. And by the way, somebody pointed something out. I mean, Are you not going to know this guy's a Central American drug member just by his face and neck tattoos? But interestingly enough, can you see that? Do I have to make it bigger? Well, I don't seem to be able to make it bigger. But the circle part there, they say race. Race. This is a white guy, according to the inmate booking record. That's another way they lie to us about crime statistics, is they take people who are black or Hispanic, they book them, and they list them as white. So that goes down as a crime committed by a white person, of course. All right. Then the DEI story. DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion will be our demise. Even now, the New York Times has had to concede that this woman pilot, her incompetence is what killed scores of innocent men, women, and children on a commercial airliner when she negligently flew her Army helicopter into the flight path of that aircraft. And of course, the two servicemen who were in the helicopter with her. Of course, you have to read all the way to the end of this very lengthy New York Times article. These are the last few paragraphs of the New York Times article where they ultimately are compelled to disclose what really happened here. 2 seconds after the air traffic controller's cutout instruction about passing behind the commercial airliner, Warrant Officer Eves replied. This would be not the woman flying. The woman flying, her name was Army Captain Rebecca Loback, who had for a time, by the way, been serving in President Otto Penn Biden's White House in some kind of capacity. Loback was flying this helicopter. Warrant Officer Eves had double her flight time, but she had to get some kind of checkup on her flight skills, and that's what this flight was about. Obviously, her flight skills and decision-making were grossly inadequate. But the warrant officer affirmed for the second time that the Black Hawk, the helicopter, saw the airliner. Visual separation was approved. It was their last communication with air traffic control. The Black Hawk helicopter being flown by Captain Rebecca Loback was 15 seconds away from crossing flight paths with the airliner. The warrant officer then turned his attention to Captain Loback. He told her he believed that air traffic control wanted them to turn left toward the East Riverbank. Turning left would have opened up more space between the helicopter and flight 5342, which was heading for the runway 33 at an altitude of roughly 300 feet, where Loback was flying her helicopter, even though she had been told repeatedly by air traffic control and by the warrant officer that she had to be at most at 200 feet to avoid air traffic. But she stayed at 3. She acknowledged the instruction. She heard the order. But instead of going down to 200 feet, she stayed at 300 feet. She did not turn left. She flew her helicopter directly into that airliner and killed those people. Diversity, equity, inclusion will be the death of all of us. And finally, the last thing I wanted to share with all of you today is this little bit of happy news. Columbus Day. From Donald Trump's Truth Social account, our Article 2 executive branch elected President Donald Trump, chosen by the American people to exercise our political will, writes, "I'm bringing Columbus Day back from the ashes. The Democrats did everything possible to destroy Christopher Columbus, his reputation, and all of the Italians that love him so much. They tore down his statues and put up nothing but woke, or even worse, nothing at all. Well, you'll be happy to know Christopher is going to make a major comeback. I am hereby reinstating Columbus Day under the same rules, dates, and locations as it has had for all of the many decades before." Folks, America is in a state of war. It's in a state of culture war. the Western civilization that culminated in our great nation, has been denigrated, has been torn down, has been shredded by the progressive woke DEI fascists who despise us and despise America and despise Western civilization in a psychotic, self-hating death cult. But everything good in America fundamentally comes from Western civilization. And Christopher Columbus was obviously a very important figure in Western civilization, a very large contributor to the exploration across the Atlantic Ocean and the finding of the various Americas. So, of course, he must be hated by the progressive woke DEI left. Who do they want to praise in place of Christopher Columbus? The indigenous peoples of the Americas. The Aztecs, the Mayans, the people who sacrificed tens of thousands of innocent men, women, and children, tore their hearts out and tumbled their bodies down the stone stairs of their Central American and South American temples. That's who we're supposed to hold in high esteem. The Native Americans who enslaved and murdered each other. That's who we're supposed to espouse in place of Christopher Columbus. These people who lived in the Americas for thousands of years and developed nothing comparable to what Europe developed. America was not created by Mayans and Aztecs. So Christopher Columbus is back. And the important part of this message isn't just the Christopher Columbus from my point of view. The important part, and it's kind of reflected in this ex-post, it's not just a holiday, it's a statement. We're not handing America's legacy over to people who hate it. Trump's not just bringing back Columbus Day, he's bringing back pride, tradition, and a backbone this country's been missing for years. Damn right we're happy. Yes, anything that recenters Western civilization in American culture is a good thing. We are the creators of this great nation that is so despised, yet the whole third world wants to come here. It's remarkable. They want to come to a place where everyone's literally Hitler. They fight, they die to try to get across our border into our great nation. Thanks for watching this highlight segment of our full-length Law of Self-Defense live stream. If you enjoyed this content, make sure to give us a like and subscribe for more expert analysis on politics, law, and how to be hard to convict. And to watch the full-length episode of this show, just click right here. Stay safe.